Welcome into the final play. I'm Juan Kincaid. The warning signs were there all week long that today's rematch between the Saints and the Eagles was not going to be like the first time out. In fact, the second time around, the Eagles looked like the more desperate team, for a half at least. Juan gets a start tonight on a Saints win that took a while to unfold.
3rd down and 10. Breeze from the gun, takes the snap, goes to the near side. Hit early. Where's the flag?
You don't get one.
Early hit on Tommy Lee. Sean Payton is all the way down at the 10. Unbelievable no call.
Wow, not a flag to be found.
I don't know if there was ever a more obvious pass interference call that, here it is, the NFC Championship game. So, tough one to swallow.
Welcome into the final play. I'm Juan Kincaid. No one in black and gold can believe what they saw and what the refs didn't see or call, because the hit on Tommy Lee Lewis seemed so obvious, so clear as day. Apparently it wasn't, and that's where we're going to begin tonight. Here's Juan. Well, it's not official until it's announced on June 20th, but Zion Williamson is about to become a New Orleans Pelican.
One pick in the 2019 NBA draft goes to the New Orleans Pelicans.
And that means for the second time in 7 years, the Pelicans will be grabbing the best player coming out of college basketball. Anthony Davis back in 2012, Zion Williamson in 2019, and both guys are seen as a once-in-a-generation kind of talent.
It's definitely a possibility, but, it's not sure until it actually happens. Still nervous. I don't know why. I'm just still nervous. Maybe because, like you said, all eyes were on me. And I think it's a lot to take in because I don't know where I'm going to be.
Oh, we know where you're going to be. The ping pong balls fell perfectly for the Pelicans tonight. Going in, they had just a 6% chance of picking number one. They had the 7th best odds of the 14 teams to earn the number one spot. But just like in 2012, they scoffed at the percentages, leapfrogging a bunch of teams to get to number one, where they're expected to grab college basketball's player of the year in Williamson, who averaged 23 points, 9 boards this season. And the eventual arrival of Williamson to the Pelicans makes you wonder what Anthony Davis is thinking in terms of his trade demands. Might he still be dealt, or perhaps stay and play alongside of Williamson? They'd certainly give the Pelicans a nice 1-2 punch down low. We'll hear from the Vice President, David Griffin, later in sports.
Juan Kincaid and Sean Fazan join us live from Saints camp. Guys.
Thanks a lot, Chris. The Saints got themselves an offensive lineman, a guy that can play center and also can play guard, who was versatile at Texas A&M. He didn't miss a start at Texas A&M. They're getting everything they want in a guy that can come in here, maybe not be a starter right away, Sean Fazan, but he will play with this football team early and often. The SEC tournament has been anything but easy for LSU. 3 games, 2 wins, and in every game, the Tigers have had to battle back from early deficits. In today's game against Auburn, elimination round, LSU actually got on the board first. Josh Smith, a double early on. He would end up coming home on his fielder's choice. Zach Watson to third. It's an out at first, but LSU led 1-0 in the 7th. It's 1-1. Judd Ward for Auburn. That double to left field. Kason Howell would come around, giving Auburn a 2-1 lead. Bottom of the 7th, Bayou Bengals with runners on second. Josh Smith, once again, another hit for him. Scores Brant Broussard, and it's a 2-2 game. In the 8th, same score, Edouard Julian for Auburn. The single scores Stephen Williams. It's a 3-2 Auburn lead. But in the 9th, a crazy finish. LSU with runners on second and third, while pitch catcher cannot find the ball. Giovanni DiGiacomo comes around to score from third. Drew Bianco comes all the way from second base to score. That's how the game ends. LSU stays alive with a 4-3 win. Sean, what a crazy night of picking in the draft for the New Orleans Pelicans. 3 picks in the first 17 of the draft. And, of course, it all began, as you mentioned just a moment ago, with Zion Williamson at number 1. He said his heart was pounding before he heard his name called by Commissioner Adam Silver. And he said his legs went numb after the name was called. There was never a doubt that Williamson would be the draft's first player taken. And he said he's anxious to get to New Orleans and help the franchise turn things around.
I'm going to do everything I can in my power to try to, turn it in the right direction. It's probably going to take some time because, Rome wasn't built in a day. But, I'm willing to, do as much as I can to, turn it in the right direction.
And Zion reiterated that he's ready to take on the title of face of the franchise as an 18-year-old.
but he said he would not hesitate to ask some questions of the many veterans that are going to be around him. That's going to do it for our coverage here until sports here in Brooklyn. But right now, let's head over to the headquarters of the Pelicans, where Chris Hagan has more. Chris?
We're going to begin tonight's final play with a workout that's become a bit of a tradition. Saints practice on Tulane's campus. The black and gold rolled into Uptown tonight and Ullman Stadium for a workout that's open to the fans. And they came in droves. It's the only camp practice that did not require a ticket to get in.
I think anytime you change the routine up, push practice back, I thought they handled it well. The other thing is we get a great turnout. And I think it's just another exposure for our fans.
One half was much better than the other, mainly because one Saints quarterback was much better than the other. In the Saints' comeback win against the Chargers, the backup, Taysom Hill, outperformed Teddy Bridgewater, who got his second consecutive preseason start. Bridgewater led the Saints to just 3 points in the first half. Meanwhile, the Chargers built a first-half lead thanks to special teams plays like this from Troy Maine, Pope. 3 Saints players had a chance to tackle him. All 3 missed. 81 yards later, it's a touchdown. The Chargers were up 17-3 at that point. That would be their lead at the half. Second half, though, Taysom Hill comes in, finds a way, and finds Austin Carr. 27-yard score. Saints down by just 7. Into the fourth quarter, Hill on the keeper and getting a big gain. Check out Taysom Hill. Bounces it outside, leaves the pressure. It's a 24-yard gain and a stiff arm to boot. He's not going out of bounds. Deep in Charger territory. Inside the red zone, though, Devine Ozigbo gets popped and fumbles the ball back to the Chargers. Saints defense would hold on the ensuing possession, and on the next drive, Hill finds former LSU Tiger Trayvon Durrell for the first down. Nice to see him get involved in the offense. A bit later in the drive, Ozigbo getting another chance. Taysom leaves the pocket, finds him for a 1-yard score. 2-point conversion failed, so the Saints were down 17-16. The defense got the ball back to the offense once again, and Hill goes back to work. Little Jordan Humphreys, 18-yard reception and a first down. The drive would end. Mr. Reliable Will Lutz from 28 yards out squeezes it through. Saints take the lead 19-17. Plenty of time on the clock, over a minute to go. Chargers pushing for the game-winning score, but Colton Jumper jumps the route for the interception. Saints get the win 19-17, meaning the defense, which struggled to get off the field early in the first half, didn't allow a point in the second. As for the Taysom Hill-led offense, there was a lot to like out there, especially how he rallied the guys around him and led the comeback. Early today, an NBA Cares event featuring the Brooklyn Nets was canceled in China. The Lakers have a similar NBA Cares event scheduled for tomorrow. It, too, could be canceled. Here's the question. Should the NBA care that China has canceled these care events when many of their own people are protesting and feeling like their own communist country doesn't care about their want and need for democracy? It's a tricky position for the NBA, who has the largest global footprint of any American professional sports league, especially in China, where it's estimated that 300 million people love the game and support it financially. Yao Ming is the greatest player from China to ever play in the NBA, and he played for Houston. Last Friday, Houston general manager Daryl Morey tweeted, "Fight for freedom, stand for Hong Kong." That was followed up by an apology from Rockets forward James Harden, who said, "You know, we love China. We love playing there." Translation, we as players love the money you put in our pockets. NBA players like Harden also love their freedom of speech, which is what many in Hong Kong are fighting for. Why is choosing a side in this debate so hard for the NBA? Money is the reason. It's pushing human rights and human decency into the shadows. But here's the thing, NBA, if you choose to not stand up for things like this, you'll lay down for anything, especially the almighty dollar, just like James Harden has done.